And now, from ursuspacificus, the most misunderstood name in baseless conjecture, this is News Undies, all the news that shouldn't be news, with Paul Torville. Featuring opposing viewpoints with Pig and Sheep. And now, the longest-haired news anchor we know, Paul Torville.
For May 15, 2009, this is News Undies, all the news that shouldn't be news. I'm Paul Torville with these headlines. Former Vice President Dick Cheney, who is quite possibly simultaneously the most intellectually formidable and yet most out of touch with reality prominent Republican, has stated that he prefers far-right talk radio douchebag Rush Limbaugh over mostly honorable retired Army General Colin Powell to be the trailblazer to the future of the Republican Party. Cheney, an aging, hate-filled, multiply draft-deferred, warmongering, fascist old white man, should be unceremoniously tossed into a wood chipper along with his black fedora hat. Karl Rove. A recent survey suggests that the more powerful your religious faith is, the more likely you are to think that torture can be excused in certain circumstances. In other news, the sun is very, very hot, gravity always pulls down, and I told you so. More news after this. Are you ready for this? It's time for celebrity birthdays. Woohoo! Okay, so this past Saturday, the 9th of May, Albert Finney, John Ashcroft, and Billy Joel. Sunday the 10th was John Wilkes Booth, dead, Gary Owens, and Jim Abrams. Monday the 11th, Salvador Dali, dead, Phil Silvers, dead, Foster Brooks, dead, and Richard Feynman, dead. Guess it's not a good day to be born or something. Tuesday the 12th, Yogi Berra, Tom Snyder, dead, and Billy Squire. Wednesday the 13th, Joe Lewis, dead, Beatrice Arthur, newly dead, and Jim Jones, dead. Thursday the 14th, Jack Bruce, George Lucas, and David Byrne. 15th, the 15th of May. That's right, if you don't have your taxes in by now, you're screwed. Wavy Gravy, Madeleine Albright, and Amit Zappa. That's it for celebrity birthdays. I gotta go. Ben Bernanke. The employees of Gong'an County in China have been ordered by the county government to smoke or be fined. More specifically, they must smoke cigarette brands produced in Hubei province, where Gong'an is situated. While roughly a third of all Chinese citizens smoke, the national government is sort of talking out of both sides of its mouth. There's some news. On the one hand, reveling in the vice tax revenue from cigarettes, and on the other hand, encouraging people to quit smoking. Ever since this economic downturn really started getting bad, the concept of a bank or other business being too big to fail has been tossed around rather casually by political leaders, business leaders, and the news media. General Motors seems to be the poster child for this mentality. What does it mean to be too big to fail? Here are Pig and Sheep to try to sort it out.
Chevy is the heartbeat of America! What's good for GM is good for America! You can't let GM die! Slogans, talking points, emotional appeals! Motors is a business, like any other. If it is poorly run, it will fail. GM has been so poorly run for so long that it appears to the dispassionate outside observer to be unsalvageable. GM is ill-adapted to the business climate and car market of today. It is a hulking, lumbering behemoth that can't get out of its own way. GM is a dinosaur, and the Chicxulub impact happened in 1973. Rather than reacting in a timely fashion to the new reality of scarce oil, GM continued to poorly manufacture inefficient land yachts. GM dug its own grave and stands at its edge. I say the time has come to push it in and fill the hole in with quick drying cement.
Thank you, Pig and Sheep, for that informative analysis. In technology news, on Monday, Space Shuttle Atlantis lifted off from Kennedy Space Center on STS-125, the final Hubble servicing mission. Along for the ride are two deflated basketballs. One was handled by the telescope's namesake, Edwin Hubble, while he was a star forward for the University of Chicago's basketball team. The other is a run-of-the-mill Harlem Globetrotters ball. This continues a long tradition of wasting fuel to carry something into space and bring it back just to be able to say it was in space. 3D Realms, the software company responsible for the ever-popular Duke Nukem series, started in 1991, and the seemingly ceaseless vaporware hype over Duke Nukem Forever has folded up its tent, peed on the fire, and called the dog. Halo 3 players barely notice. We'll have more after this.
Ursus Pacificus NewsUndies is brought to you in part by the Ursus Pacificus Kitsch Cave at www.cafepress.com/urspacks. And by the Church of No Thanks, celebrating personal liberty since 2008 at www.nothankschurch.com.
Carrie Prejean? And finally, and I do mean finally, we all saw this coming, didn't we? Detroit automaker General Motors is on the brink of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. After dumping $15 billion into a company with a market capitalization of less than $900 million, the Obama administration still doesn't see that just buying out the stockholders and selling off the assets or divisions of the company is a prudent thing to do. Just the real estate holdings of GM have to be worth at least $1 billion. Instead, GM is expected to ask for another $11.6 billion in federal aid, and they just might get it. Well, that's all for this edition of NewsUndies. Remember, if you see news that shouldn't be news, you can send your story ideas to undies@newsundies.com. You can sign up for email notification of NewsUndies videos by emailing nulist@newsundies.com. You can always find the latest NewsUndies videos at www.newsundies.com. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Paul Torville. After that, who knows? Somebody had to do it.